HPV-1 virus. Any review of this federal program, any cursory review, will solve an HIV and AIDS.
No, I've read the 71 document, and I've read the Navy documents, and I've read where Congress funded the development of autoimmune viruses and successfully developed them, and I've seen the purchase orders where they admit that they developed thousands of gallons of it.
Okay.
And I mean, as you reported, crystallized so they could then deploy it. Yes, I'm trying to, just for the average person driving along, to make it simple for them.
Here is for the average person driving along. In the 2003 State of the Union address by our president, he stated that AIDS was a plague of nature, and he said that the CIA had reviewed his statement. Well, if AIDS is a plague of nature, then where is my government synthetic biological agent that was funded on June 9, 1969, that depletes the immune system, sir? So we can't have it both ways. Either AIDS is a plague of nature, as we're being led to believe in the propaganda stance, whether it's Democrat or Republican, because we've also approached the prior president on this issue as well to no avail. Either AIDS is a plague of nature, or it is a plague of this synthetic biological agent program that has been hidden from the American people and the people of the world. We're looking for the world jury. We believe that we cannot receive justice as it relates to truth and reconciliation, an apology to the victims who have Visna in their system. A swab test for Visna, my friend. If you test positive for Visna, the Icelandic sheep disease, you deserve an apology and reparations. The AIDS reparation issue will dominate the rest of this century.
So you're moving a little quick for me, even. You just said something about Icelandic diseases.
It is called Visna, sir. V-I-S-N-A.
Yes, I'm familiar. Specifically, what are you saying?
No, I'm saying what they are saying. According to the top electron microscopist of the United States, I'm not sure if I pronounced that one right, but
it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Dr. Matthew Gonda and Dr. Robert Gallo and the National Academy of Science. HIV evolved from the Icelandic sheep disease. It has nothing to do with monkeys or Africans. How does an Icelandic sheep disease originate in an African monkey disease? It just doesn't. The Visna sequence is in HIV alone. But here's the mystery and the miracle, and thank you for asking. This is very important. In the progress report, page 39 in 1971, you have the progress report. They say that Visna has not yet, meaning it will be, but Visna has not yet been associated with human disease. At the 1983 AIDS Task Force, and you write this down, sir, the United States was informed that AIDS had evolved the etiological agent of HIV on July 18, 1983. Was the Visna sheep disease. HIV is a lentivirus because it is one of these mycoplasmas that they have triggered with for the last 100 years, in line with the horse and the goat, as was mentioned by the Cold Springs Harbor discoveries in the early 1900s. So how could HIV be a mystery if indeed it's linked to animal diseases from the early 20th century?
No, and we just had Mr. Watson, the head of the Cold Springs Harbor, who was the head of their genetics arm during World War II, and it was still the Eugenics Records Office. We now have him, getting finally fired or having to resign because he says black people are basically inferior and we should ban who can have children and restrict this and that. My point is, Dr. Grace, please. My point...
Alex, that's 5/5 to 3/5. See, white people grow up all their lives looking at black people as 3/5 of a person, whether you say they're 5/5 or not. That's the mental ideology of the inferiority of this entire problem.
No, I understand that. My point was, Dr. Graves, the issue I was trying to flesh out there was that this is a eugenics operation, admittedly, and this is where they're producing these weapons, and they run the human genome right now. Human genome projects run out of Cold Springs Harbor. They're with National Geographic trying to trace racial lines out of Africa to try to tailor race weapons, and that's clear. And so my point is that the people heading this up today are still eugenicists, and it's hidden in plain view. That's all I was saying.
Well, but it's not hidden in plain view. Any of the scientists or medical doctors today are unaware of the U.S. Special Virus Program that persisted in the United States from 1962 to 1978. We're saying review this federal program. Let's bring it into view. That's why we're asking for your assistance.
Well, good. We're going to break.
We're going forward even here now.
We're going to break. When we come back, you've got the floor. I want you to tell people your solution to try to get this whole bioweapons program reviewed. But then you say reviewed, it's like people calling for a new 9/11 investigation. They will just review it themselves and whitewash it, but I guess a review would draw attention to this, and then it would at least be a point of debate. But I say there's no research needed. I mean, they say they want the bioweapon. They say they want to get rid of 80% of the population. They say they want to do it, and they're doing it, and there it is. I mean, it's obvious. When we get back, specifically tell me about solutions, Dr. Boyd Graves. Amazing information today, and again, he's been talking about this for 15 years, and so he's just going over it so quickly, and I understand the frustration. There's so much detail to every little bit of all of this. There's so many facets to all of it, but regardless, we have a criminally insane elite who are playing with us like we're lab rats. And by the way, that means all of us. He's got a fire hose of information. We're trying to drink it out of little pixie straws. BoydGraves.com. Boyd, B-O-Y-D, Graves, G-R-A-V-E-S.com. Go read his timeline. Go look at it all. Excellent information. And then you'll find out it just opens up into a million different avenues. But bottom line, sir, I want to commend you for the hard work you've done. And, vetting a lot of this, bringing this to light. And independently, I've discovered a lot of the same things you've discovered. That's such important information. What are solutions? I mean, how do we expose this to the world? How do we, as you say, get an investigation? Or what are you recommending?
Yes, sir. And I appreciate that. We've been out here for a very, very, very long time and didn't know if we would even get anywhere near as we're approaching some degree of a finish line, that finish line being that this information will continue to circulate, around the world until the end of the world. And for that, we're grateful. We believe that the clinical trials of the cure, I think, are very, very important as a means of now immediately supplementing the treatment procedures for people with HIV and AIDS. It's about a 20-minute procedure, and having shared the effects of it for the last 6 years, I'm sure others would benefit as well. That Tetrasil, the 5676977 patent, speaks for itself. If you say there's no cure, then here is your cure. Now we need to act on it as we're going forward. The review process will certainly be stubborn and take its time over time. But the world jury of people who can read and understand know that we have put our finger on the pulse of the greatest mystery in the history of the world. It all boils down, Alex, when did Visna cross species? B-I-S-N-A. When did Visna cross species? Because there's no way an African and a monkey and a Haitian have been up to Iceland. So we have Icelandic sheep sequences in HIV. When did the Icelandic sheep sequences cross into the human genome? They projected that the SIV, the monkey immunodeficiency disease, crossed into the human genome. However, did monkeys modify their behavior? Did they become, and they certainly didn't use condoms, so did female monkeys then spurn the advances of the male because he might possibly give her a sexual transmission? Otherwise, we would not have monkeys. So how did the monkeys modify the HIV? They never had it. HIV was not, SIV, the monkey SIV was not isolated until 1980. We began giving monkeys human injections beginning in 1962. And re-releasing them back into the wild.
Oh yeah, they've been in these zoological laboratories like Plum Island and others. Those are admitted bioweapons labs trying to get zoological diseases to cross into humans.
Yes, so we agree that the transmission of Visna, in particular, since it was developed by Nazi Germany, sir, in the 1930s on the sheep in Iceland, it shows the totality of the mindset that has sought to develop a race-specific virus, if you would, which is a synthetic biological agent, mycoplasma, a race-specific mycoplasma. They have achieved their goal. It is now our time and our turn to address this information from a world jury standpoint, and together, the good minds of all of us work together to implement the cure. They worked on the AIDS vaccine in 1972. We have that experiment. If the people are ready to solve it in HIV and AIDS, we are ready.
Well, sure, because anything the government develops, they also try to simultaneously make a cure for it.